I've been trying to get people to eat like an adult for years. That's why I created the guide. That's why I did a TEDx talk on it. But today we're going to talk about where that idea comes from. Welcome to the Strong for Life podcast. I'm Coach Josh Wood. This is the podcast for busy parents and professionals who care about their health and fitness and their longevity and just want to get on with life. So let's dig into things today. So, the Eat Like an Adult guide. That document is based off of a concept that I've been using for quite a while now. And that's the idea that you should eat like an adult. I'm assuming you're an adult if you're listening to this. If you're catching this live in the YouTube channel, or if you're catching this in the Become Strong for Life Facebook group, you're probably an adult. And it makes sense to eat like one. And we can talk a little bit about what that means. I've talked about that a lot, but I want to talk about the origins of that concept. Maybe, oh my gosh, when was it? A couple years ago. So I've been using that term for quite a while. And the idea is about making responsible decisions and mindful decisions and taking ownership of the outcomes of your choices instead of blaming circumstance and environment on all your outcomes in life. You can't do that. You can't do that and be happy. You have to take ownership. And so I was visiting my family, and my family is in Minnesota. I live in Tasmania, Australia. I lived in Australia my entire adult life. But all my family is still in the United States. And so I went to visit my family in Minnesota a couple Christmases ago. And it was getting towards the end of my trip. And I was there with my family, my wife and kid, and then visiting and staying with my mom. And my sister lives in the same town. And so before we were going to leave, my sister asked for some help. She asked for some help getting her diet right for her husband, so that she can set an example for her children, which is what we're here to do. As parents, our children are our responsibility. And what we do, they will mimic. And so she wanted to be a good example. And she wanted her husband to be a good example. And they didn't have a great relationship with food. And so she asked for some help before I left. And I was like, yeah, okay, no worries. And I was like, well, how can I leave something? How can I leave something that is going to have a lasting impact and be useful to her, that she can reference it whenever she's struggling with food choices? And so a couple nights before I was going to go visit her, I started trying to put all my tips and tricks down. And I started creating this document, which became the Eat Like an Adult infographic. Because it's an infographic. Like, we call it a document, but it is a infographic. And my prime goal was like, okay, this should have the basics of nutrition, and it should have some actionable items, some habits that you can develop, that if you even do one of those for the day, you're going to create a better relationship with food and set a better example for your kids. And so I started creating this document. I got on Canva, which is a great resource, and I started trying to organize my ideas into a single page. And that eventually became the Eat Like an Adult guide. And that was designed to go on her fridge. So I made the Eat Like an Adult guide so that my sister could have something on her fridge to remind her how to create a good relationship with food. And the first draft was not quite as polished as it is now. And there was no TEDx talk in the works. It was just designed to be a useful thing. And so I put all this down, I printed it off, and I took it over to her house. And I went there and I walked her through it. And it covers basically the same stuff it does now. There are 2 basic nutrition facts and 6 habits that help you create a better relationship with food and help you make adult choices. The facts were, what are calories? How do we get them from food? And what is protein? How much should we eat? Because when working with people, I'm always trying to get more protein into their diet. If you're listening to this now and you aren't actively thinking about more protein in your diet, you probably don't get enough protein. And that's normal. That's a normal thing. Almost everybody that I've ever worked with starts off not understanding the value of protein and not understanding how much to get. And so the guide gives you a recommendation. And then it goes through, God, I can't even remember if it had the 6 habits we have now. But the 6 habits are the Apple test. Choose better. Treats are treats. Don't eat your emotions. Oh gosh, now that I'm on the spot, I'm blanking on this. Don't eat your emotions. And mistakes are mistakes. That. I'm missing one. Anyway, there's at least 5 of the 6 habits, and I can't believe the number of times that I've gone through this that I'm blanking on it. But the idea was these are actionable things that you can insert into your daily food choices. And every time you do, you introduce mindfulness. So if we start off with the Apple test, which is probably the most powerful in my opinion, because it's visual, it's actionable, it's accessible, it's big. And the Apple test is a simple thing. If you're digging around in your pantry or your desk drawer, my drawer here, I'm digging around looking for something sweet to eat in the afternoon, you need to stop and you need to ask yourself, am I actually hungry? If Coach Josh was to magically appear and hand me a beautiful, crisp, ripe apple, would you eat it? Hygiene concerns aside, and assuming you like apples, if you're hungry, you would eat an apple. If you're hungry, eat an apple or equivalent. It could be a pear. It's fine too. But if you're hungry, you'd eat real food. If you just want that little packaged bit of sweetness, you're not hungry. You're having a craving. And a craving is usually related to something else. It could be your body telling you that you are thirsty, you need to drink more water. It could be due to stress or lack of sleep, or maybe you're actually even deficient in some nutrients. But if you're hungry, eat real food. But the first step to breaking those old habits, those habits that just are what we do every day. Oh yeah, I dig in the pantry around 3 o'clock and eat some cookies because I'm, quote, hungry. If you're hungry, eat food. If you're eating emotionally, you typically don't eat real food. You eat junk. And so the first step is implementing these little stop gaps into our thought process that give us a moment to think, to make a conscious decision and decide what we want to do. That's the most important thing. That is eating like an adult. And this whole system was something I designed to try and help my family. Because I was like, I need a resource to leave before I come back to Australia, because I don't know when I'll be back. I don't go to the States much. It's a long way away. And now with 4 of us in the family, it is pretty cost prohibitive. It's a long way to go with little kids. And, flights aren't cheap these days. So who knows when I'm going to get back. But I was able to leave this tool. And this tool, this resource, has now reached hundreds and hundreds of people. And every day I get a message from someone who's like, every time I look for a snack or think about eating, now all I can think about is that mustache and apples. I just need to eat apples. And there's always, the Apple test is a big one because it's so accessible. And that was the whole goal. The whole goal was to create this resource to keep on your fridge. And it's still a free resource. It's still a free resource, and when the TEDx talk comes out, that's going to reach many, many more people. Because the talk outlines all this stuff too. A little bit more detail than what I'm doing right now. But it's the same stuff. And if you are having difficulty getting your eating on track, start there. Again, it's a free resource. If you're not implementing free options and still saying you're unable to do something, that's on you. Your outcomes are going to be directly related to your decisions. And if you can't make a decision to utilize something that is free to revamp your relationship with food and set a better example for your children and those around you, that's on you. And it's just an amazing thing to see. You know, my sister's lost a ton of weight. She works with my assistant coach in Strong for Life coaching. Has been working with him for months now, and just tiny, small, everyday little habits change, and the way the family eats changes, and the way the kids look at food and how they're fed and what kind of snacks they have. All that changes when you make a change, when you make a conscious decision. So if you get anything out of this little episode today, hopefully it's the Apple test, and hopefully that helps you. Hopefully you're able to put a stop into mindless feeding and mindless action and make a conscious decision. And the more you do that, the more that will be ingrained, the more that will become effortless, just like the snacking was before. But it takes work now. It takes effort now. But in 6 months, a year, it won't. And you'll forget about how hard it was in the beginning. But you'll be a different person. And as the creator of something, that's an immensely rewarding thing to see how it's reached around the world just due to trying to help my family out. That's incredibly rewarding. Makes me very proud. And I hope it reaches more people. And I hope it can help. So, I should probably say, yeah, you can get that on my website if you want it, strongforlife.online. You can just message me, and I'll email it to you. It's a PDF. So you can message me on @CoachJoshWood on Instagram, or email me through the website. If you can't find it, that's fine too. But everybody should take a look at it if you have any difficulties with your relationship with food. And that's all I wanted to say today. Is just tell that little bit of backstory. Make sure you understand that you can make a choice. And at least give you the Apple test to do that. And the other 5 habits, which I can't remember all 5 of them right now. It's a little disappointing. But they're available to you too. So if you have any questions, as always, please reach out. And if you want to have me discuss anything on the show, I've got a little list of things I need to discuss in the coming weeks. But please let me know. Now for announcements. Let's see here. Announcements. The Vault, I have a number of new programs that are going into that, including the massive list of movement snacks. The 18-week strength program is up and ready to go. We've got the new kettlebell program in there. And I am currently filming more videos for the beginner steel mace course, which is a little niche. If you don't know what steel mace training is or mace training is, have a little YouTube for that. I've got the first few lessons available already on YouTube. So something to delve into, and there'll be new programs for different goals updated every month in the Vault. So check that out. The Strong for Life Members Vault is it's the fitness resource for building out your own programs. It's full of programs and nutrition resources, the same stuff that I've been using for over a decade with all my clients. And you have access to that to use it how you will. So go check that out. And until next week, go eat some apples. They're good for you.